Welcome to the Never Been Promoted podcast with Thomas Helfrich. Get ready for a thrilling adventure as we uncover entrepreneurial journeys and life-changing business insights every week. And now your host, Thomas.
Welcome to another episode of Never Been Promoted. And this week I'm practicing pauses. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you again for listening, everybody. I am joined today by Chris Wysong. He is an entrepreneur. He is the founder of Bucket of Bread. And in every one of our episodes, we're here to learn from other entrepreneurs so we can unleash your entrepreneur. And you have a cool brand, Chris, and I want you to introduce yourself. But thank you so much, first of all, for joining the Never Been Promoted podcast.
Oh, it's completely my pleasure. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I mean, we met via LinkedIn. It's no longer weird to meet men online just randomly. You can just do this now, and it's great. It's always been probably accepted in some circles, but it's more publicly accepted now. So thank you. Thank you for that.
My pleasure.
In Bucket of Bread, I usually say something like set the table for us. Let's just hear about you. But in this case, I truly mean, why don't we just go and clean the kitchen and get it ready? Tell me about, let everyone know who you are, kind of set us up a little bit.
Well, as you said, my name is Chris Wysong, and I am the proud owner and founder of Bucket of Bread LLC out of Lacrosse, Wisconsin. This is a veteran-owned business that I created. And what it is I have these certified organic flours that I blend and mix together and put into recyclable buckets. So you get it home, add a little lukewarm water, mix it up till there's nothing dry. The next thing you know, you have a bucket of dough that'll last up to 2 weeks in your fridge. And you can make breads and pizzas and cinnamon buns, garlic knots, breadsticks, pretzels, bagels, really anything you can imagine using a dough for. I have a white, a wheat, a 7-grain, and there are no preservatives, fats, oils, dairies, eggs, or sugars added. It's even vegan friendly. And the best part about the entire business adventure, I do say that on purpose, is that at least 10% of any profits that I generate are earmarked to go towards charities combating hunger and fighting food insecurity. You can even send a tax-deductible bucket donation right from the website and have that sent to various food banks and charities that I've partnered with across the nation.
That's amazing. And it's such a, and are you doing this full time now as an entrepreneur?
Yes, this is what I do. I'm retired military. So I've decided to make sure that I'm doing something a little more active than just traveling and sipping on Mai Tais.
Which is not a bad way to go. And just so, I like to niche down, right? In the military, which of the armed forces were you part of?
I was part of the Army, and I started right out of high school. I ended up driving gasoline trucks during the Gulf War. Later, I was part of a Patriot missile battery stationed in Germany, back in the Middle East for a little stint there. Got out for a little while, had a small break in my 20s, ended up staying and living and traveling around Germany with a little job and a stamp in my passport. So I made sure to make the most of my 20s that way. But later joined back into a reserve program, became part with the public affairs, and was able to do a really, really cool job as a broadcast journalist, traveling all over the place with that. But eventually I transitioned over back to what they call as an active guard reservist, where I was active duty, but supporting the reserve program. And I crossed over to the dark side, as they like to say, and I became an ordnance officer, had a couple deployments, and eventually transitioned to captain as a logistician, where here in Wisconsin, where I'm located, nearby is Fort McCoy. And that was my last duty station where I said, I'm done. And now I'm doing this.
When your last day in the military, what do they do? Do you just walk off into the sunset, or is there like a cheering, or do you have to turn some guns in, or what?
It's a little like that, but there was a program that they have in place. I forget the name of it, but basically they sit you in civilian clothes into a room with a few other people that are getting out, and you go through some very basics: how to write a resume, how to use LinkedIn, and how to go become a civilian again, and some tips and advice on transitioning from military to the civilian sector. So I did that for about a week, but then, you just kind of are done. They'll send you, like, typically there's an award ceremony and maybe a little bit of a cake or something afterwards, but you just go do your thing.
Man, it's kind of like getting laid off.
Well, there's a little more to it, but yeah.
I can describe it as non-ceremonial. There's no cake when you get laid off. Actually, they may have cake when you leave. You're like, guys, gone. God. I only say this because I've been laid off lots of times. I've never gotten cake. If you get cake, you weren't laid off. Just say that. What if you stole cake? All right, let's talk about now. We transitioned to cooking because we talk about cakes, which is not dough. And you've had your life around gas a bunch, it seems. So, you have gas now. Gas is what creates the air in the bread, right? Tell me how you're gassy and how you apply that to your business.
So basically, the way this whole business started was I'll go back to my childhood and thank my mom because she had this thing about her where she brought me into the kitchen as a young boy and I was always just having fun, good memories. But eventually I became comfortable enough, and that was her goal, is to make sure that I could fend for myself when I was old enough. But eventually I was just the guy that made the dinners. And if there was a charity event or something, I would be the guy that baked up something and sent it at that charity event, and people loved it. And eventually over time, I kind of became known as the bread guy. If you go to the About Me section on the website, there's even a leaner, meaner, fighting machiner version of myself in a photo from about 2004 and 5. During a deployment somewhere in northern Iraq, I ended up running across some folks with this big tandoori oven making flatbreads, and I started talking my best broken English and sign language, and we had some communication, but I was able to bake some bread with the guys making bread for the Iraqi army. And next thing you know, I'm sitting at their table in their chow hall, having a little broken bread for the lunch, and kind of a little guest of honor type situation. But it goes all the way back to, that background. But for some reason, something clicked at 3 a.m. in the morning about August of 2020. I just woke up and said, hey, all the things that you've been doing, put it in a bucket and just use that as a platform to help people. So that's what I started to pursue. I woke up the other half, the better half, and was told, do it. And then I heard snores. So I just did it because I had permission.
I asked you, honey, and she rolled over and and you're like, that's a yes.
That's a yes. So I went with it.
Can't hear me ever sign something.
But yeah, that's pretty much the trajectory of how I developed the Bucket of Bread brand baking kits.
And those who are just listening, he's in this full, chef garb, and it's the greatest look because it's just like he's a happy dude, and it's like you have to see it. Like you should just go out publicly, just walk around like that all the times. People just be like, this guy.
I have an event after this today. I'll be in a small town's Christmas market, and I'll be peddling my buckets and dressed full attire. Except I'm going to switch the hat out, and I'll probably be a little bit more festive with it, with the Santa hat. But
right.
That's about it. I don't mind wearing the brand. It's actually pretty good.
It's great. It really is. It's well done, and so tell me, let's talk about your journey a little bit through this. So you beyond just how you got there, once your wife have agreed to your decision at 3 a.m. when she was sleeping, and you just said, I'm going to do this. Tell me about like the early days, of what you were worried about, like what you wish you would have known. Just kind of, this is the reason I ask is entrepreneurs who are listening. This is part of what keeps them from starting is not knowing what to do first or next, and all the worries that come with it. So talk about those early the big after she agreed to it.
So the best thing that I think that is out there, that it's almost it's in your face hidden secret type thing, but it's not hidden at all. And it's the local university for your state, wherever you're at, will have a small business development center, and it's a free resource. They'll help you throughout let me build the idea into a business plan and kind of crunch numbers with you. It's just an incredible resource to use. So I found them through some ironic fate, if you will, just randomly talking to people and discovering that this is out there. So I talked to the University of Wisconsin in Lacrosse, Wisconsin, and they welcomed me and helped me put it together. And the next thing you know, I found an incubator nearby that they also helped me apply for, get into. But then there were renovations. There's a lot of money that I had to kind of cough up to have this an inspectable, licensed, and insured facility where I can manufacture these buckets, because they are a food item. So there's some rules. And I think the best thing is that resource. And then as part as far as being a veteran, there's some other resources there as well. That there's a nationwide program called Bunker Labs that if anybody's a veteran or spouse of veteran, they are amazing. They will help get your idea and your feet off the ground a little bit and push you in the right direction. But they're a nationwide connection, a network system that if you have a question, they're going to be able to find somebody in that field of expertise. And they're very similar in that regard to SCORE, which is another great resource, free, helps you get started. And the best thing is, I think just walking in a little naive and having no fear, do it, that type of a mentality, you're going to run into all kinds of hurdles and challenges, but do it. That's the key, I think.
No doubt. And I think you had resources, and I have to guess from your personality, and I think the takeaway for entrepreneurs to listen to is find resources to help you accelerate. And, small business bureau or local chamber of commerce, there's people who know, like social media ask. Yours is specific because you have to have regulations and inspections to be able to do this, commercial kitchen and stuff. Now, are you, from just a practical standpoint, did you, on the buckets, I didn't even consider that, right? You have to get that inspected as well. Is that part of, do you rent space? Do you have a specific manufacturer that does that, who's in that industry, that they already have all those checks and they're just producing your thing? Or how does that work?
So for me right now, I'm the solopreneur just chomping at the bits to become the CEO of America's Next Favorite Brand, because I need to grow out of that position to where I'm building the buckets by hand and then going out being the face of the company as well. So that's like the next phases as I progress. And right now I fill every bucket by hand to the gram with all the ingredients blended together based off of my supplier's ingredients and then my recipe blend for this stuff that people seem to really love. So that's the next phase, is to take this incubator building that I have permission to manufacture my product in, because it's relatively simple as far as the manufacturing side goes. But I would like to grow into where that's packaged, maybe from like a larger co-pack type facility. I've developed this to where that growth and that scale is capable. It's just getting to the point where it's self-sustaining, and that's the next challenge, is to be able to make more than 100 of these a day and have them shipped out through the direct-to-consumer website purchases.
Yeah, and you need distribution, it sounds like. So it sounds like you need a localized distribution. Once the ingredients are in bucket, does it have a shelf life?
Yes. So I had to transition a little bit. I took a little bit of a step back. So I have these little buckets. This is a half-gallon size. And what I've got is right now, if I were to dig into here, I've got a little bag, and then I've got a bigger bag. You just mix the two together with the cup and a half of lukewarm water. You get it right in the bucket, let it sit, and that's the packaging is the container that you keep in your fridge for the next couple of weeks. But before, I was putting everything just dry straight to the bucket, and people could mix it up that way. But the shelf life was a little inconsistent that way, because as it's exposed to the oxygen, is slowly dying, even though the buckets are airtight. And some people's experience was, hey, it's 10 months old, it worked just fine. Others might have had hey, it was a little slow rising experience. But now with this bagged system, the ingredients dictate the shelf life. And no matter when you jump into the life cycle of that product, you get the same experience because of that. So that's going to open up the capabilities for those manufacturing facilities to fill the bags, and also allow it for more shelf stability in a grocery store down the road. So part of my future is knocking on doors and saying, would you like to have this product in your shop? And right now I have one shop in Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin's Wisconsin Veteran Museum, at their gift shop. Right now, if you buy a bucket from them, they will also send a bucket to a food pantry. So that's
the way to do it. And talking to the lessons of entrepreneurship in this, the point is you took up, and this is I don't like the word pivot as much as evolve, but in this case, and in many businesses, even my own, I often look at it and go, what should I do slightly different? And I'll give you an example. So this is into 2023. A year ago, I looked at our offering for what we did, and I said, that doesn't hit enough value. That doesn't work. And I fundamentally changed it in the last quarter of last year, where then we lost about 80% of our customers because it just didn't, what we were starting to do wasn't going to fit what they had sold. And we took a huge revenue hit because of it. But this year, we fast forward, we doubled our revenue. We've improved profitability by 450%. And we've increased the value to the customers while we charge more. Because we charge more because we add more value because that's the customer we wanted. And if for you said, hey, listen, I think it's easy, I'll put it in here. But let me take a step back and let me go through a thinking manufacturing ahead. You thought ahead of, I need to get 10 million of these bags made. And then I need to be able to have someone just shove it in and close the bucket up. Clean the bucket ahead of time or something. Definitely tell people not to use soap when they clean it or something, because it's just, you can't get rid of the soap. It's going to be in there. It's going to take. And I knew that was going to happen. People are going to see the packages and they're going to think, oh, it's dirty. And then they're going to clean it and it's going to ruin it.
So these are food safe, 100% recyclable buckets. There's an option on the website for those that aren't interested in the plastic bucket that is recyclable, though. You can even order the bags without the bucket, should you so desire.
If you buy 10 at once.
I know you can order.
No. If you buy 10 at once, I'm doing that in there now. You can't just buy one.
Gotcha.
10 at once, people. He's changing that. I would. If you're not going to use the bucket, which is your brand, you still should sell it to them in a bucket. Just 10 of them. Anyway. So if you look at your distribution, that's a challenge. There's a lot of phone calls you're going to need to make and little shows and things. Does a partner like Amazon work for that? Do they have because they have food now. So do they have the food ability to say, hey, we can bag that for you and then distribute it and just drop it all? It's basically just sold through Amazon now. I know it's expensive, but is it possible?
So right now, there's been with the Amazon, there was a little bit of a challenge in the beginning. And that has to do primarily with my name here, Bucket of Bread. It's registered with the trademark office, the USPTO, and it hit the secondary registry, which is important in the Amazon world because at that point, you don't own your brand as a secondary register business name. And the reason I'm on that is because of the name is Bucket of Bread. They're common words. And I need to develop a 5-year history to where people associate my name with a product. So that's just down the road. But I also have my little cartoon character here. His name is Bob, Bucket of Bread. He's a little acronym, but he's also registered. So this year I re-attempted to go through Amazon and reset up the store with some motivation from another fellow I met on LinkedIn. But it's just recently happened. They've accepted Bob as my brand. So now I actually own the brand that I've owned before and developed myself. So I can now go in and start adding products and create it. I just haven't gotten to that point yet. That's another one of those, well, you're a solopreneur. You got to prioritize. Right now we're in a little bit of a holiday rush and people are really making sure they buy these buckets as gifts. And I'm very thankful, but we'll see where it brings the future as far as Amazon goes and how the pricing is done, because I did change my prices because I thought, well, with this half-size bucket, let's just lower prices. People complained that the big bucket, which is 2 bags of the big and 2 bags of the little, so you don't have to make it. It's basically just 2 little buckets put together. But I dropped the price on that because I thought, okay, this is working now. And the real big push for that was also another change where I was able to connect the back end of the website's shipping mechanism directly through to the post office's live rates. So now you can choose between priority shipping, or you can choose ground advantage, I think is what it's called. But so that's been a huge change. This is all relatively fresh. And I think these are game-changing advances for evolving.
Yeah, and relatively fresh. He was referring to the website, not his products. Products very fresh. So just to be clear,
Yes.
you just joined me right there saying, "Wait, it's relatively fresh." No, we're talking about you get. Did you United States Post Office provide the "we're going to lose your package" option, and how much does that cost?
So part of the shipping that I have available, they're insured to up to $100.
Yeah, I'm plugging in United States Post Office because I think it should be defunded. I don't like it. We'll take that on another podcast. They lose every one of the packages I've sent. The last 3 gone.
Oh no!
Actually, take that back. Sorry, guys, you return this one after 2 months. Anyway.
Well,
So-
number, I have the number for you to call to start a claim process.
Oh, I have done those, and I insured one, and they said you. I'm just going to go on a tangent here, people, so you can check out, get coffee, come back. I'll be done in 2 minutes. I did this. I had an insured golf club. I was sending to a friend in Slovakia, and so I insured it and filed a claim as time, and they kept delaying this. We were investigating, and by 9 months later, they said, "Hey, listen, it's lost." And sorry, but and I said, and so I went and say, well, okay, cool. Can you complete the insurance claim? And it said, oh, it's been too long. It's expired. And so I did a post on LinkedIn, and it got like 50,000 views and a bunch of comments. And the next day I had a check in my inbox. But it wasn't for the full amount that I insured it for. It covered shipping basically. Anyway, not happy. All right. So here, let's talk about something though. So that's a very important thing you said there. You continually, as a solopreneur, are prioritizing. And I think this is where entrepreneurs need to understand you cannot do everything at once. And probably your first priority was obviously getting the product right. You did a lot of branding early, which is good, but that's related to selling the product, because the ultimate goal is you're trying to fill that 100 you can do a day, or whatever your current capacity is. You start looking at the next things when you're like, I need more time because I have 120 requests at 100 capacity. So do I hire somebody? What do I do? The other piece you looked at, which is automation, and I'm a fan of automation when used correctly, is that. So you made a better experience for the customer and a better way for you to protect your business, because you're pushing the cost onto this person shipping it and not you eating it or look like you're bearing shipping costs into your product. So that was very smart, because that's a thing I hate when I'm like, why they charge me $25 for this? I know it's like $8 maybe to ship this, whatever it is. And so I think those automation steps, but they're all tied to a big thing, which is selling things. And would you agree that's your top priority, or what would be your top priority sets looking now as a product owned business or a product type business?
Well, based off of the model that I've created, I think that the bigger I can grow the Bucket of Bread brand and having that profit sharing mechanism where any profits, however big or small, at least 10% are earmarked to go towards charities combating hunger and fighting food insecurity. That's the why behind the business. And if I can get this huge, then it's a bigger impact in someone's life. And that's the benefit of creating this thing, is because I have a mission behind it.
Right. And well, is that the and more? So it's Bucket of Bread and more. Is that the and more part?
So the and more part, it represents the mission, but it also represents you can make more than bread. You've got pizzas and cinnamon buns and garlic knots, all those things that I mentioned. I put out recipes on the 1st and the 15th. You can scroll through the recipe lists if you want and go through all of the archives, or just sign up for the newsletter and see what pops in your inbox on the 1st and the 15th.
Was another branding idea glob of gluten?
No, but I like the
glob. I feel like we should do a little bit on some other alternative names just for fun, but we're not going to. Glob of gluten, because I think you said it's. Do you have a gluten-free option?
I do not have a gluten-free option. Part of the science behind this depends on the gluten being created, and that's sort of what helps this last up to 2 weeks in the fridge without those preservatives, because that's the way it works.
I just think a gluten might be fake. We don't know. I'm kidding. We don't think vegetarians are friendly. I think you said earlier the vegetarians are friendly. I'm not sure. They drive Priuses and they can't take right turns. And so if any vegetarians listen to this, fine. But vegans, you know who you are.
Vegan friendly bucket option right here. One of the things that I do like about it is it does have a wide audience that this caters to. Not so much the gluten-free folks, especially for the celiac types. And that's one of the reasons why I won't do a gluten-free as well. I have a great recipe for it. And theoretically, I could put it in a bucket. It just won't last 2 weeks in your fridge. But my environment, my space, I deal with wheat. So there's that dust in the air. And I would feel horrible if even a little amount got into somebody's stuff. So I'd prefer to get big, have a separate building, down the road as my gluten-free facility. And that way I can cater once I'm large enough to those folks.
Even people who have gluten allergies, when they smell warm bread, they eat it. I've seen it happen live. It's irresistible. If you're keto, you're like, you just look left, look right, know why. It's your own thing, and you still eat it. It's for sure.
One of the things that people have said, and these are the folks that are just, maybe they get a little tummy ache. They're not necessarily at the celiac level, but without the preservatives and all of those hard to pronounce chemicals, or even those other chemicals that are just outlawed in other countries because they've been shown to be horrible for us, this seems to be easier to digest according to those folks. So I like that type of a comment. And that's one of the reasons why this was also created, is because why should we have corn syrup and all of these other things to make it last for millennia?
Right? Like, Wonder Bread, scary. Tell me a little bit. So in your business model, as you were doing this, you're thinking through it, you didn't go the Walmart route, which is how cheap can I make it? You said, let me find flours that are better. And one of this comes to mind, and the entrepreneurial lesson there is you gave thought to where you want to position your product, your price, and your brand. And you didn't want to do it at inexpensive because there's no way you're going to compete at that. And secondly, it didn't meet the mission anyway, which is to give a great product and then have some money left over to run a business. But at the same time, create wellness and great, good things in the world, like, right, to make the world better. And so that there's a conscious decision with that. How did you go about selecting flours in a world? I got to ask this question of when wheat is there's so much stuff that's just, it doesn't matter where it's already from, time it's grown, it's bad for you, so to speak. So how did you do that?
Well, as the idea came during the 2020 time when everything was shut down, I did a lot of mail order for various types of things that came through. And I was always on the internet looking around for different mills that were grinding their stuff up. And one of the ones I came across was Wisconsin, located near here. And I was able to set up business accounts where the delivery charges were like $4. So it's really, really nice to order 1,000 pounds of flour and only have to pay $4 extra.
Yeah.
And then have it as a discounted rate because, there's a business account associated with it. So I think that mill has all of the certifications to ensure that the quality is there, that it is certified organic, that it's non-GMO. There's some stone ground in the wheat, for example. But having them be a trusted source and be local from the state of Wisconsin, where I'm at, really ties the whole thing together as a higher end premium product quality. But even at the price point that I've got it out, people still think this is a great deal. I think it's a great deal and they love it. And lately, since I've put by the caseload, you can order by the case on the site, I've noticed a huge influx in people ordering 12 buckets at a time because of the way the pricing structure was developed.
Well, also, and if you eat bread regularly, and you can just have something over a 2-week period, so our family cooks bread, it doesn't cool off before it's gone. And who wants to? It's the best. Like, I'll let it sit there. I'm like, like it's gone. Like, there's a fight for the end piece always. My wife always wins. But the idea, I think, is, and you and I talked about this, like, as you think you're marketing and you're thinking about the use cases of how you sell it. What a great thing for grandma and the kids to do. Mom and the kids. The dad says, hey, listen, we're going to bake bread today and we're going to mix it. It's simple. I still don't know what lukewarm water is, but that's okay. I told you, I'm telling you, like, I try to make bread. I still don't know what the hell lukewarm water is. And you said if you put your finger in the water and you don't really feel a change in temperature, that's generally correct. But how important is it to be, 83 versus 88? Does it matter? Or does it all come back to room temp at some point?
It's not really that important. You might, if it's cold water, which I've done before, just by accident, I wasn't paying attention when I first started playing with this. It just takes a little longer. It eventually gets there. It's the moisture, that you're helping all of those little yeasties create that environment where they're hungry, and then those glutens are forming and all of that reactions taking place. But ideally, if it's just slightly warm to the touch, that's perfect. And you'll
not too hot, because that would kill the yeast. Is that right?
Correct. Or you don't want boiling water, but I mean, just slightly warm to the touch, and you're fine. Really, all you're doing is making sure it's mixed up so there's nothing dry left in the bucket. Mm-hmm. And once you have all of that done, it's just a matter of time. Let it rest.
So could you use it as So in theory, you could mix it up, put it in a refrigerator, and let it go for a while. Does it have to? Or
Well,
go like a starter like that, like a starter for like a,
I keep it at a room temperature to do the rising, but as a starter, I haven't really used it like that. If somebody wants to try it as that, please reach back out and let me know how that works. Kind of on my list of things to do, but I haven't.
I'm definitely going to order some and I'll give you, and I think anybody who does this, I'm going to give you a marketing tip, entrepreneurs, especially if you have somebody early stage company, they are going to appreciate social media posts more than you can possibly fathom, as long as they're positive. Of course, don't be mean. If you don't like something, the comment card is always an email directly to the owner, not social media rant. Come on. Here. If you do though, and you say, listen, we did this, this is fun, this is my 30-second, 60-second, not only is that person going to reshare your thing like endlessly on their channel, they're going to super appreciate it. And so as you look at your marketing, I'm certainly going to film it, because I'm going to be like, I have no clue how to make bread, but Chris, here, I'm going to try it. And then, I'm going to do a little AMSR as I gnaw down that whole thing on camera. But I will definitely order some from you as we do this, because and others should as well. But I can talk about this endlessly. But I want to keep giving entrepreneurial tips. I always ask this question. You're a little bit into the road, right, with this. What is the one thing you wish you would have known, though, right now at the beginning?
That there is a pretty expensive cost, I guess, when you're putting your website together and you're just kind of trying to figure it out yourself. Don't get sucked into the SEO tricks and of the trade, because you're going to come back with all kinds of stuff. And I blew $2,500 that I totally regret on this big package deal that's going to be the best ever. And I got diddly for it. So I was kicking myself in the tail feathers for at least still. So 6 months plus.
Well, I will tell you, so $2,500 is probably you didn't get overly charged for something like that. But as a marketer, I will tell you that I tell most of our customers this too. Until you have a repeatable product and service, do the bare minimum on your website and make it a sales page. Make it about getting people to buy things from you and less so about SEO. SEO is a long-term strategy game that becomes much easier to do when people provide you social media, when you have interviews, when you have real authentic interactions with customers, and that becomes your articles, your how-tos. Here's a customer that submitted this. That's all you need for SEO for your brand, is when someone's looking for a specific way to cook bread and you're like, hey, this is how we do it, Bucket of Bread, and here's the ingredients we use, and here's how that's all you need. There's no more secret to it than that. You could do some other stuff in the headlines, but the truth is you're not trying to get people to find you organically, not so to speak. They're going to find you because of honestly advertising and your social media, and that's how it's going to be for the first few years, and then you can back into SEO when you're big. So people don't jump into SEO right away. If you do build a website, you got a little money, you got your thing, I would definitely take an SEO first approach. But I bet I'll make this question to you. I bet you anything, your initial hypothesis has changed a little bit. Where you thought you'd be, it's shifted to something slightly different.
The premise is still the same. Have a high quality product.
No question.
Use it to help people. I did not expect some of the interest that has been shown in it. So I have had an opportunity to do a lot of, just run with it type of scenarios. And that's been pretty fun when the unexpected happens, or somebody that you're just talking to because you decided to go to an event and just meet somebody who all of a sudden they want to write an article about you. And
right. I'll put you on a podcast. I'll tell you why I was like, you're coming on this podcast. And what I meant by that is, though your mission hasn't changed, the bigger goal picture, what happened is, this is tying back to SEO and marketing, the nuance of who you might market to initially based on the opportunities you're going to find through randomness, through opportunity, those have become what you're going to SEO about. So until you really have a line on what the repeatable thing is, and you want to attract more of that you just can't scale to go do, that's where SEO starts playing. If you would find veterans don't want to buy this at all, and then who does are kindergarten teachers for whatever reason. The point being is, you will do more SEO around, hey, how this helps schools and teachers, but that you're going to discover that you'll learn these things. The ultimate benefiter might be veterans and people in the communities you wish to serve and help, but they may not be the buyers. And the SEO is different pieces. And so just entrepreneurs know that your plan once punched it. What's the military saying? Everyone's got a plan till that's Mike Tyson. Everyone's got a plan until you're punched in the face. But like the man one, right? It's like any battle plan is good. It's going to change as soon as the first shot's fired. It's like
It's like a business plan,
You're supposed to jump in here. You're the military guys. Like this is what they teach us.
Well, there's all kinds of philosophies out there, Just go read The Art of War and you'll be fine.
Yeah, is it Tanzu? Shanzu?
Yes, there you go.
Hey, so I always give an opportunity to, and you've done a little bit of this, but give me like 30 seconds. Where do we go right now at any point, really? Actually, you're listening to this. I'm interested. I want to buy some of this stuff. Where do they go? And who do you want to go there?
So everybody is who I'd like to go there. But it's easy. Bucketofbread.com. Do the Google if you need to, but bucketofbread.com is the website. And I would appreciate if you go there, you look at all those little social media icons at the top. Feel free to jump in, send out a thumb, a like, a share. Tell everyone you've ever met that I exist. And it's awesome. And I'm ready to serve those who want to try a bucket of bread.
Awesome. And anybody, I'll give you one more call to action. Bucketofbread.com, go buy 12 and then go give 11 of them away. How about that? That's what I would go do. Go buy 12 and give 11 away. It's any holiday season, just find whatever holidays around you and just call it for that. And Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's. I'm terrible about holidays because I'm an entrepreneur and they don't exist in our world. You just keep working. It's funny. That being said, by the way, definitely go to bucketofbread.com and get one. I know I'm going to order one as well, or a bunch, and give them out. And then just say, hey, guys, I met this guy. Please go do a social media review. The other thing, too, is if you've bought one of these and go to do a Google review and only do positives, like a 4s and 5s, please. If you're that critical, send him a note directly via the website. Like, don't do that to an early business that's really got a good place and heart. But if you really like something, take the time, 5 seconds to go do a good review, take a picture. So let's do a hot seat.
Hot seat.
No, I'm sorry. Do a lukewarm seat.
Okay.
Warm seat, because we're trying to learn what that word means exactly. And why is Luke the name in it? It doesn't matter. Let's just keep talking about it. What is your favorite cooking book?
So the one that I look at as most fun is the Flavor Bible. It's kind of like this big chart in a book form that you go, okay, I've got this. That tastes well with that, and that. Let me create a recipe now on the fly. So you can just have this incredible number of things that you can create just by looking at what's in your kitchen and how can I blend these together. And then you now are the magnifique person in the kitchen for everyone in the household.
You described a very good use case. I think it already exists though for AI. This is what I have left. What can I make?
There you go.
There's AI. That's a formula for AI based on the science of taste. And they said, hey, if you take tarragon and you mix it with, I don't know, Cheerios with a sprinkle of cinnamon and a little, I don't know, whatever. I'm making this up. Don't do that. That sounds disgusting. But they had ones that are like, oh, they'd be like, this is actually quite savory and yet interesting. It really hits all levels of your tongue. But anyway, I like that. So in your current business, you're an early stage, and maybe on the e-commerce side, I'd love to hear about this. What kind of technologies are you leveraging that you like? Like what's helping you accelerate?
So I started out the website with the equivalent of a business card online is what I kind of like to refer to it as. It's one of those plug and play. You can build a website, poof, you're done. I probably shouldn't mention the brand name, but
probably not.
What's that?
I'm all right with honesty here.
Well, I wasn't too fond of some of the back end operations of it, so I migrated everything to WordPress, and thankfully it was a little pricey as far as my penny pinching behavior goes, but I was able to take like 2 months worth of just call them up and they'll help walk you through it. And that was more like a ground guiding to make me like an instant expert, if you will. And there's plugins available for the WordPress, just so many to choose from. But I based everything in the WordPress because it's friendly to the Google algorithms. When you write the blog or your recipe, those keywords are flowing through. And then that's where that long game comes into play for the SEO naturally, where I shouldn't be spending as much as I did, still kicking myself in the tail feathers. But yeah, the whole transition to a properly developed website that can track sales and you've got the proper cart and all of that good stuff in there. It was just night and day. And I think that really helped out.
Well, no question. And I would tell you the 2,500, I want you to look at that as you actually saved yourself 25,000. And the reason is if you hadn't been so disdained about it or you found even some success, the chance you rebuying a million other things in that price point are off the charts. And I see this a lot of entrepreneurs that work with us. They've tried all this stuff. It's 2,500 here. It's 2,000 there. It's a coach for this. And they're just like, I'm dropped like 20K on this stuff. And they're like, we're no different spot. And anyway, there's fundamentals. So take that as, yep, cheap. I got off cheap. You're not going to miss that in a year from now. It'll be a funny story to tell.
Well, it's still a funny story now.
Well, it'll be a lot less funny like when you're making that an hour, like with your business. So you'll be like, yeah, I'm going to go hire that SEO company again just for fun, so I can fire them. Anyway, you have a like a favorite quote you go to in life?
Well, I guess we can follow Nike's "Just Do It," since that's how we started.
I like that. I mean, he would have thought like a shoe company would be so well quoted, but the truth is, just do it. I like it. Get off your butt and go. I like that. What's one regret you think you have that you would take back
Besides the SEO?
Besides the SEO, what's like a life regret on your entrepreneurial journey? Would you like some of the answers are like I started earlier. I wish I would have whatever. But I think it's important to understand like beyond just entrepreneurship. What's a life regret?
Oh man, that's a really good hot seat question. Or lukewarm seat.
Lukewarm. That one a little warmer. I turned the heat up on that one a little bit. But nice.
Yeah. So going into a personal realm, I guess just I'd say that I would have to say, goodness gracious. Let's see, digging deep. Maybe just like the whole marriage and divorce thing in life. That's kind of a big kick in the ass. So. It takes a little while to get through that and over it and put it behind you. So I tell myself, my past self, hey, it's going to be fine. Just get through this. You're good. Yeah.
Well, it's mindset you're referring to there too, is that I like to quote Pearl Jam a lot. There's, no matter how cold the winter, there's a springtime ahead. It's from a song called Tell Me Your Way Back. Tell me my way back to you. Tell me my way back. Any better. Just Eddie, come on the show. That's all I'm asking. Anyway. Here it is. Listen, I thank you so much. I'm coming today on the show. I really appreciate what you're doing. I do mean it in all sincerity, because it's just such a cool idea, and it's like it seems obvious. And those are like the best ideas. I hope you keep making great decisions so you can grow this and align yourself to outward-facing charities. And I think that's a great way to grow is through I don't say it's faith-based, but maybe just a bigger purpose-based approach, because I think that works, and you don't have to do anything more than keep getting flour from your local piece and just build it right out of Wisconsin there and into wherever it may go. But I'm proud of you. I'll tell you that. I don't know if anybody else has told you that, but I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Everybody, thank you once again for listening to the Never Been Promoted podcast. Chris Wysong, bucketofbread.com. Go follow him across socials. Is it Bucket of Bread? Traditional spelling across all social, or is there anyone that you like more than the others?
Well, Facebook seems to be the more popular one. So that would be a great start, but every one of those little links are on the header of the website. So it's easy. It opens in a new tab. You can just go click, 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 and follow.
Nice. I love it. I forgot to ask this one question. Is there somebody you like to follow on social media that you'd want to give a shout out to? Like, hey, listen, this person's content's great, or this person makes me laugh. Like anybody you want to, give them a little love, pay it forward.
They're like, they're already pretty much like with, millions of followers or whatever, but there's this fella, I think his name's Gary V.
He's got quite a few.
Yeah. The dude's always just got the
followers on LinkedIn. So Gary V, I'm happy to mention you in this, that Chris Wysong and I both agree that that's a person you should follow. LinkedIn thought so much that they hired him to do some stuff. So,
well, I just like his positive message, and sometimes being the solopreneur, it's lonely, and you get a little bit of like that little monster on your shoulder telling you, it's all bad, but you need that reinforcement that, hey, things are good. You're doing good. You've got this. So that's just always nice to scroll through and go, oh, well, there's a nice message. I love it. I feel good.
Here I was exiting the interview. I got to address this now because this is part of my book of Never Been Promoted. You are going to feel the negativity of so much in your own thoughts, of people just passively telling you you can't do it in their own way, or some kind of like, oh, you're just doing this or that. You're going to have to make some hard decisions in life of who's going to be in your circle and who's going to be out. And I will tell you that if you have the goal to be, and you have a vision that, it's working, you're gonna be surprised of how many people are going to exit your circle by your consciousness, or the fact that you'll just be too busy to deal with them, or they don't get time with you. Just be proprietary entrepreneurs. And I'm sure you're this way. And unfortunately, I'm not sure how your situation. Sometimes it's spouses. Sometimes it's really close friends. Sometimes it's even family members. But you'll have to prioritize what's really important to you in your life to be happy, and then bring in the people that are going to help you be supportive. And I think what you just described there is you don't get that without some kind of support system, because you'll be in your own head at times. Am I doing it? What else do I need to do? It's 6 a.m. I don't know. I need to do something. I have too much. You need support, and you need to be able to have the right mindset. So I like that. And that's why I think Gary Vee is great too, because he is, those hats sucks. I don't like his hat. I like you, Gary, but man, I get the brand, but it's just not, you're too old now for that. You got to take it off. Man, like get something else.
It's about the message, though.
Yeah, about the message. Sorry, I got on the rant there. All right, guys. All right. Chris Wysong, Bucket of Bread founder, CEO. Go ahead and order some bread and go gift some to some people, and do a good cause, because they give a bunch of the money back to charity. Even this early stage when they need the profits, they're still committing to that, almost tithing to a better cause, and that's very noble. Thank you, Chris, so much for coming on the Never Been Promoted podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Now go out there and unleash your entrepreneur.
Thanks for listening to Never Been Promoted with Thomas Helfrich. Make sure to check the show notes for our guest contact information and any relevant links. Connect with Thomas personally at neverbeenpromoted.com.